I'm 39 and autistic, and my mom is almost 70 and not autistic. Her reaction to my autism diagnosis shocked me. It disappointed me. It is not what I was expecting. But most other autistic people are probably not going to be surprised at all by what she said. So, what did she say that was so hurtful to me? But it's just such an obvious response that most autistic people have received from their loved ones when they have come out to them with their own autism diagnosis. I mean, what did I even expect to hear from somebody from that generation when I share with them that, oh, by the way, you've known me for 39 years, almost 40 years now, and I'm actually autistic. And not only that, your only daughter is autistic. And that has huge implications on you as a person. So, I mean, what was I expecting? I must have been delusional to think she's going to unconditionally be excited for me. She's going to have full understanding of me and going to have this like aha moment that, oh, now it makes sense. Now it makes sense why my daughter has been struggling with depression since she was 16. Now it makes sense that she had postpartum anxiety. Now it makes sense that it's been so difficult for her to stick to a career. And it's been so easy for her to earn a lot of money and grow a lot in a career and then like lose it all and like have to start from scratch again. Oh, now that explains it why my daughter has been having such a hard time. It is autism. But actually, no, that is absolutely not how she responded. Her reaction was actually quite typical. She felt sorry for me. Now, her reaction was one of the better reactions I got from my family members, especially compared to my dad, which I made a whole video about, which you can check out here. But nevertheless, I was very, very disappointed by her reaction. And this is what she said to me. She said, well, I understand why you think you might be autistic, but everyone's a little bit autistic. I am a little bit autistic sometimes. Mom. This reaction made me so angry, so upset, so disappointed because she was trying to normalize, not just that, she was trying to, I can't even think, like the energy is moving through my body like crazy right now just thinking about this. This is how I felt in that moment. I was shaking on the inside. On the outside, I was trying to stay calm and composed. Of course, my face must have scrunched up, and I'm sure she saw that. We were FaceTiming when we had this conversation, but I felt so frustrated, so angry, so disappointed, and I felt like, actually, I can't even say it, but this video by Purple Ella explains it perfectly. This is exactly how I was feeling and what I was thinking in that moment. I can't talk right now because just thinking about that is making me so angry. So I'll just let Purple Ella tell you right here.
I get why you're saying everyone's a bit autistic, because you probably think that I'm embarrassed and upset about being autistic, and you're reassuring me that I'm just like everybody else. But I'm not embarrassed about being autistic.
That's exactly it. She believed that I was embarrassed. She believed that now I thought that I'm broken, that I'm disabled, and this is a huge social handicap, not only a physical, mental handicap, but it's a social handicap. So I don't want to give away too much information here, and I'm really guilty of this. I have a really poor filter, and I think it's because of my autism. I really overshare too much private details, and I did that in my dad reaction video, and like the comments on it, you can just read the comments. People are like, oh, imagine your dad watched this video, he'd be so hurt. So I'm trying to avoid that on this video in case my mom stumbles upon this secret project of mine. But my mom is a social scientist, so she has like a PhD in sociology. This is her special interest, like how society works, how social social hierarchy is created, and so on. So I'm sure in her mind the alarm bells were going off. Oh, autistic woman, brown skin, living in Europe in a very white country. This is bad. So she thought that I'm embarrassed, I'm scared, and I'm shocked, and I'm just I'm like in a bad position now because now I'm autistic. But I'm not embarrassed. I'm proud of this. I consider this a gift, and I consider just the knowledge of finally knowing that I am autistic to be a gift because it explains so much. I have been happier after my diagnosis than I have been in the last 5 years. Like categorically, I wake up now with optimism. I wake up looking forward to the day, whereas in the past 5 years, I have been to countless therapy sessions to figure out my morning depression. Like this is life-changing for me, and I consider it a gift. So I'll stop talking now, and I'll let Purple Ella carry on.
When you say that, it's like you're saying that I should be embarrassed, and it's like you're minimizing the experiences that I'm having, as everyone has those experiences, and they don't, because not everyone is autistic. So I know it's coming from a good place, but could you just not? Right. Okay then.
My little autistic brain wants to know why. Like, I can't stop asking why about everything. Now, why did she do that? Why did she say everybody's a little bit autistic, though? Why do people say that? Why do people try to normalize your autism diagnosis? Well, here comes the blow. Are you ready? Because these very specific autistic experiences are so normal for them, not for everybody, but for them. And why? Because they actually are a little bit autistic themselves. When they say everybody's a little bit autistic, they don't mean everybody. They mean they're a little bit autistic. And a part of them knows that. And that part of them has accommodated for it. That part of them has found workarounds for it. And that part of them has masked it so heavily that those accommodations are now a part of their beings, their personality. And for them, well, of course, this is normal. I mean, I'm a little bit autistic. Isn't everybody a little bit autistic? So the person who's giving you this answer might have something else going on here. And especially if it is your family member, well, guess what? Autism is highly, highly, highly hereditary. Genetically, it is so common for many people in the same family to share these traits. It is quite likely that the person who gives you this answer is also on the spectrum. Hold up here. I really have to say, even though you might think, okay, mom or dad or whoever gave me this stupid answer, oh, everyone's a little bit autistic, and that means, oh, maybe they're a little bit autistic. Should I tell them I think they're autistic? No, don't do that. I made this mistake. And every other YouTuber out there, like Paul from Autism from the Inside, for example, in his most watched video on YouTube, he ends with this, like the most important, like the crescendo of his video is, no matter who you might have diagnosed as being autistic, do not tell them, oh, hey, I think you're autistic because you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of these traits. No, don't do that. Give them the dignity of arriving to that realization themselves. Because I had to really ask myself this after I did the whole embarrassing thing with my dad, that, wait, if somebody had told me, I think you're a bit autistic, if they had told me this like a year or two ago, or if 4 years ago, if somebody had told me that, I would have probably physically attacked them because I was so, that was just not even an option for me to even think about. That was so outside of my paradigm, and I would not have accepted that as even being a possibility for myself. So somebody else is in the same place, in that place. So by you, I don't know, diagnosing them or sharing your discovery of their possible traits is not going to help them in any way come to a better place of acceptance about themselves and their uniqueness. So if you're thinking somebody might be, just hold back. Don't bluntly say it to them the way I did with my dad. That was a mistake. And I am sorry, Dad. Now that that's out of the way, there's another reason why they might be saying, but everyone's a little bit autistic, because of theory of mind. And theory of mind is something that interwoven into the experience of being autistic. It is a very innocent thinking that my reality is the same. Well, actually, everybody else's reality is the same reality as my reality. I did a short explanation video about theory of mind, which I'll link to. I highly recommend watching that so you understand this very foundational concept that colors your experience of being autistic. All that being said, now that you found out you're autistic, you can't wait to tell the whole world about your diagnosis. But wait, stop. There are a few things you have to consider before you do that. Number one, what do you hope to achieve from this? I've taken this question from the book Unmasking Autism. I'll link to that below. It is a must read for anybody on the spectrum and the family members of somebody on the spectrum. And this question is basically asking you to think, what do you want to come out from this? What do you want the other person to give you from this sharing? Do you want them to give you acceptance? Do you want them to give you understanding? Do you want them to give you accommodation? The truth is, you might not get this, and that might cause you to be disappointed. So ask yourself this first. The second thing you need to do is have a plan on how you're going to deal with these reactions. I got this question from this book, So You Think You're Autistic by Yo Sam D Sam. It's super. I also link to it below. And here, basically, you're going to get 3 types of negative reactions or 2 types of positive reactions. The 3 negative ones are the 3 Ds. The first D is denial. No, it can't be. Don't slap that label on yourself. Don't label yourself as disabled. You are not disabled. This is when the person you shared with is in complete denial. They don't even want to hear you. They don't want to see the truth in what you're sharing, and they're in complete denial. The second D is doubt. Here, in a good-natured and a well-wishing way, they're going to be, oh, are you sure that this is what you really have? Have you been diagnosed by a professional yet? Have you spoken to your doctor yet? Maybe you should wait until the official professional diagnosis comes in. And the third D is defense, which is basically offense. So the person will get defensive, which is exactly what happened with my dad. Me sharing with him that I'm autistic made him come face to face with the potentiality that he might also be autistic, and he was not ready to accept that. So he became defensive and went on the attack. I don't want to get into that story, so just go watch that video if you want to know what happened. The 2 positive reactions that you might get are A, acceptance, and A, accommodation. And I got both of these A's from my middle sibling, who was so wonderful, and they said, okay, I hear you, this is what you said, and I'm going to read up and research on this so that I can support your needs as best as I can and in the way that you need to be supported. So they accepted what I was saying, at least as the reality for me. I'm saying this is my truth, and they were accepting of that. And they were willing to accommodate me by upgrading their knowledge of autism and coming to me with a new way of interaction, of being, and of accommodation. So imagine for a second you got all these reactions. How are you going to deal with how you feel after receiving this reaction? There's very little you can do to change how they're going to react to your news, but you have the responsibility actually to deal with how you're going to manage your feelings that come up from their reactions. Because if you don't manage it, if you don't consciously process it, you're going to risk going into a downward spiral. The third thing you can ask yourself is also from this book: how do you plan on explaining the concepts of autism to support your news, your sharing, your coming out? To be honest, this is what I intuitively already did with my family when I shared my news with them, with specific examples of family gatherings when my autism really showed up, or my son's autism was really absolutely undeniable, but that didn't really change their reaction. I still got the 3 Ds. I've written out these questions and made a really handy checklist for you to go through before sharing the news of your autism with your family, as well as some really super cool top resources that's going to help you prepare for any type of reaction that you get. It's totally free and you can grab a copy on my website, neurodivergentmom.net, or get it directly from the link below. Now, if you haven't seen it yet and want to see how spectacularly I failed at coming out to my dad about my autism and his crazy reaction, then check out this video right here.